Welcome. Introducing the couch here at Beyond Psychology. Here are some viewing and processing tips for this channel. I highly recommend that you watch everything in its entirety and really think about it, perhaps even pause the video periodically, even rewinding if you need to hear something again. Please, don't ever jump to conclusions in the middle of a video or series. Have the fortitude to watch all of it. I am interested in what the world thinks, but I'll be able to tell if you did not watch the entire video or if you're not making an effort to understand. Also, keep in mind that I'm trying to format these videos for an extremely wide range of viewers. It's almost impossible to make everyone happy, and trying to make this approachable for all skill levels as well as somewhat entertaining for many types of people in the world. My name is Adam Beatty. I call that my economic slave name. I'm an autodidact that channels information from the combined consciousness and a virtuous critical thinker. Secondly, I'm a bit of a philosopher, fairly scientifically literate, and all of these things equate to a fringe scientist. I'm also a musician, and I used to party an awful lot, so I got a bit of that sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing going on as well. Admittedly, I've simmered down, and my personality is now one step above a dead moth most of the time. Another few things about myself. Based on the puzzle pieces we have at the moment, it's likely that individualism is an oversimplification of our existence. We are a mass of microbiological symbiotic consciousness. What we call our ecosystem and the universe is just another part of whatever it is that we are. The thought revolution is what this channel is perpetuating, and the journey we are about to embark on is not a sport. We will be examining outside-the-box concepts and the evidence that supports them. Questions and discussions are always welcome, but black and white-sided me versus you type debates will be discouraged. If you think you have a piece of evidence that contradicts a concept, please share it, and we will examine how it affects a given theory. Moving on. The main reason why I created this channel is for the purpose of perpetuating scientific literacy, critical thinking, and to address the major issues that stem from the lack of those thought models in the minds of the biological consciousness of the planet. Most of us sense that there is something detrimentally wrong with the binding fabric of our society. We must take steps towards changing some things we do that have perpetuated us to this state of existence, and the concepts I propose are likely what needs to be prioritized. We don't hear much in the media about what causes degradation of said social fabric, and that's likely because the complexity of the issue is so insurmountable that most don't have the time to deal with it, nor do they even know where to begin. Think about it. The amount of research, education, and problem-solving skills that are needed for all of this take a better part of 20 years for even a relatively clever life form to gain any real understanding. Never mind abilities to do something about it.
Ain't nobody got time for that!
Yes. This woman is awesome and has great energy, but we need to make time for that. Is this too complicated? Well, we better kill it then. Quick, grab a blunt object. Let's play whack-a-mole. The whack-a-mole strategies implemented by authoritarians are treating the symptoms and are sometimes of good intentions, but it will not be the cure. So I started this project after much hesitation because the most likely truth is the worst thing that you can tell most people. Regardless, the thoughts that are being channeled from our ocean of knowledge must be shared. The complexity of our minds combined with our accumulated knowledge yields our level of awareness, which I refer to as the tiers of awareness or emergent consciousness. I've made a series that explains that concept. The Emergent Consciousness series, as well as the series titled What Curriculum Doesn't Teach Us, are mandatory pieces of information in order to understand concepts I will be displaying in future videos. Our amalgamated consciousness dictates our possible choices for perception of reality. Perceptions of reality will dictate how we perceive the world, the life forms in it, the universe, as well as how we approach the question of, what am I? That is a truly unanswerable question at this time. Scary, but true. This creates a serious dilemma because it's not possible to know what we are or where the universe comes from. No worries. It's all going to be okay. And even if it's not going to be okay, there's no point in freaking out about it. Let's attempt to deal with this like rational adults, please. Pitching a fit or plugging our ears is not productive. Relax. They're just jokes. The cure for our current predicament is a multifaceted approach. One part is an education revolution, one part is mass psychological adjustments, and the last is geopolitical strategies of epic proportions. Obviously, the ways we've been trying to deal with our problems are not working. We have thousands of years of historical evidence, as well as observations in modern times, that makes this a reasonable statement. So this channel is where we will deal with not only the mass psychology and education, but also failures of modern psychology and psychiatry, as well as how the professionals can adjust accordingly. Evolution of psychology and critical thinking models being of tremendous importance, because without it, we will be like trying to run Windows 10 on an old Apple computer. Many of our systems suffer from bias, corruption, and overall stagnation because of the compounding effect from generation to generation. Currently, our update software for perception of reality and critical thinking is like the child's game of telephone. Currently, our species is experiencing divergence. Due to the stagnation and the other issues I mentioned earlier, psychology is failing to adapt to this shift in expanded consciousness. Another function of this channel will be addressing certain psychological concepts that the mainstream does not want to examine, or is incapable of examining because of their cultural bias. We will also be addressing weaponized psychology and psychiatry. It's difficult to balance philosophy, critical thinking, and science. With this in mind, realize that psychology is not very objective. The field has significant value, but it's difficult to gauge which concepts contain said value and which states of consciousness we can apply those concepts to. Let's face it, mainstream psychology, some people are beyond your current understanding. We don't know what we are, so our presumptions about what's normative are based on status quo-driven popularity of perception of reality, not an objective scientific fact. We base what we think is normative on cultural bias. There are no easy fixes for complex issues. This process is not going to be pretty, and likely I will be putting the world through some growing pains. This may be uncomfortable for some, and for that I sympathize and apologize, but we can no longer be the children of the universe. As for economic resources that I acquire from social media, any money I acquire at all for that matter, past economic security, will be going towards fundraising for a nonprofit organization and perhaps other philanthropic endeavors. I could covet all of my intellectual property and capitalize on it in many ways, but I prefer open source. I observe the coveting of knowledge as a true crime against humanity. My philanthropic endeavors will be explained at my geopolitical strategy channel, which I've created but I'm not ready to unveil yet. Once I begin releasing content for that channel, I will add a link in the description below. None of these goals are achievable alone. If you can't donate, no problem. Show support by subscribing, thumbing up, and sharing. If you can, that'd be great, and you'll be helping to change the world for the better. I'll put the link for my Patreon below. Join the thought revolution. And remember, solace in science. Best wishes to all life, and thank you for joining in a peaceful revolution to manifest a better future.